Hey, what's up guys? I wanted to make this guide because I've seen a lot of players commenting that they've been struggling with chaos spawns on Reddit or in different YouTube comment sections. So I thought a video about how to beat chaos spawns and all their parry and block timings would be really helpful for players. So we'll get right into the parry timings first, and then we'll break down some fights with chaos spawns so you can kind of see how to handle it in real time in an actual scenario. And the footage I'm going to be showing you from the fights is from hard stratagems where I'm just soloing it with the bots. So let's get right into the attacks of the various chaos spawns. Each one I'm going to do a block version and a fencing version so you can kind of see the differences between the two play styles, because it actually does change whether you're blocking or parrying. Alright, so we'll start off with the pincher guy. So it's just like that. And then for parry, it's right there. So that's just his single attack. And then here's his double attack. So it's one, fake out, block. And that's how you do it with block. And then for fencing, it's one, fake out, parry. So it's two for each, block and parry there. There's his charge attack, so it's 1, 2. So that's a two-part attack, so watch out for that. That's the blue circle charge attack. And for this next one, I only got one version because it's just a dodge anyway, so that's his red circle. And then for the long arm guy, there's his single swipe. I didn't have a parry footage for the single swipe, but that one's super easy anyway. The rest of them I do have both footage for. This one's pretty tough, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, dodge. So the hardest part for me on this one was the 2-3 because that comes quicker and it's kind of off tempo. So just remember, after the 1 it's 2-3 and then the rest of them are slower tempo again. And then for fencing, it actually gets cut off to a 2-piece, so it's not too hard. Okay, and then this next one's going to be his black smoke attack, so it's just 1, and for fencing 1, so that's not too bad. And then this one is that weird one where he starts doing like that purple aura. If you stand in it, it will damage you, but you can just back out of it. It's not too hard to dodge. And for this next one, it's going to be black smoke into red circle jump. So black smoke, red circle jump. So you just dodge as the red circle's in the air. And then for this last double claw guy, he's the most difficult for sure. Alright, for his first attack, it's 1, 2, and blue circle. And that's how you do that with block. Okay, and then for fencing, it just gets cut off to a 1-piece, just like that. Okay, and this next one for block is one of the tougher ones. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and dodge. And then here's another way you can do it. So that was a side dodge, 3, 4, and backstep dodge. I think the backstep dodge is a lot more consistent with that. And then for parry, it just gets cut off to a 2-piece. So it's 1, 2, and then he's open for a gun strike. All right, and then for this next one, as long as you hit the first parry, and then for me, I just kind of like mash the C button and it's never actually failed me. You can see that I don't take any damage there. You know, you're not like mega mashing it, but I did hit parry 6 times here and I was able to not take any damage and build up my block stack. So I think that's just kind of the best way to do it, because it would be tricky to perfectly time all of those. Okay, and then for the fencing version, it just gets cut off to a 1-piece, and then he's open for a gun strike. Alright, and then for his last one, this is a switch up, so it starts like the 4-piece and then dodge combo, but he only does 2, and then it goes straight into a very fast red circle. For me, this one was really tough to recognize when it was going to happen, and because it's different than the 4-piece and dodge, I just could not get the timing of dodging that red circle, because you just don't know if it's going to be the switch up or not, and by the time you figure it out, it's too late. So if you have a consistent way to dodge that one, let me know down in the comments. Alright, so that was all the different attacks of the 3 different types of chaos spawn enemies, and in this next section of the video I'm gonna spawn 6 or 7 chaos spawns and fight them all with block and then with fencing, and then we'll get into some real run footage of how to deal with them in during hard stratagems. But we're going to talk a little bit about this fight right now, just so I can kind of explain how to get through chaos spawn encounters. So what makes them tricky is even if you learn how to deal with all their individual attacks, because of the way that their switch ups and their fake outs work, it can get hard to remember to time one chaos spawns like fake out. Like if the pincher guy is doing a fake out, but then the claw guy is jumping in the air at you, it can just get really tricky to time it all correctly because you're kind of having to pay attention to so many different things. But what I found to work well is make sure on the easy attacks you've got to get those ones, and that should be enough to get you through. As you could see there in that encounter, I messed up some of the more difficult attacks, but whenever it was like some of the easier ones, I did get my blocks off, and that was enough to keep me alive there. And then anytime that you take damage, just try to get your CHP back. The Melta is great for doing that. So just remember, it's not over if you take damage. Just get your CHP back. And now we'll do it with fencing with the assault class, and let's see how that goes. So as you can see, we're already starting to see here that it's a lot easier because some of their trickiest attacks just get cut off to like a 1-piece or a 2-piece, so you're having to deal with a lot less. And as you could see there, the long arm guy, he did go into his longer combo, but it's only because I wasn't focused on him, and so he got to keep attacking. But had I parried him, it would have gotten cut off to a 2-piece. And then we got the pincher guy doing his 2-part here, and then see the claw guy, he would have gone into one of his longer combos there, but I parried him. So they're much, and then I just absolutely whiffed that long arm guy's smoke attack. But then I made up for it and got the pincher guy's double attack there and got that long arm guy's parry. So yeah, like I was saying, it's quite a bit easier with fencing. It's not really too much of a problem at all for me to deal with all of these guys, and I think I even spawned in a couple extra ones over the block, so not bad at all with the fencing. But I'll just cut this off here because I think you guys get the point. Here's one kind of cool thing you can do with the double claw guy. You can, if you get block stacks, you can interrupt his red circle attack at the end of the 4-piece combo like I did there. So that's kind of a cool thing you can do in real scenarios. And then in this next clip here, we got a double claw guy and a long arm guy and a hard stratagem. So I took a big swipe of damage there, but you can just focus on getting your CHP back while getting the blocks off, and then once you build up your adrenaline surge, you can just knock them back and finish them off pretty easily. They don't have too much health if you do some good melee combos. And then in this last clip here, I'm just going to show that if you're not super confident in the situation that you're in and you're not sure if you can avoid damage, you can just kind of like play it safe and pot shot like I am here. Just do some simple ranged attacks and wait for their attacks to come in, and that way you're ready to block or dodge. You don't always have to go like all out in a melee combo, because sometimes it can be a little trickier if you're in the middle of an animation for a melee swing to still get your defense going. So in that situation, I was just kind of playing it more safe because I wasn't super confident in it, because that was the double claw guy and he could be a little bit more tricky. And then I'm just using the Melta anytime that I mess up to regain as much CHP as I can, and then just avoiding any big attacks from the Rubric Marines. And then once again, just make sure you learn to identify the easy to block attacks like this pincher guy's attack, and make sure you get those. That way you can get your block stacks up. And you should be able to get through pretty easily once you learn enough of their combos, and especially identifying the easy ones and making sure that you hit those blocks or parries. And that should be enough to get you through. And for you veteran players out there, drop one of your favorite tips for how to beat Chaos Spawn easily down in the comments to help the newer players out. But that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Drop a like on the video if you found it useful, and if you've been enjoying my content, consider subscribing. It really does help the channel out. Thanks guys, have a good one.